and it's sitting by you right now, please put it on silent so it does not disturb anybody if you are going to be on asking a question. If you have a question to ask, please private chat me and say, my name is, I'll put you on the list, and then I will call you when it's your turn to ask a question, and make sure you have your question ready to go. You will have no more than 25 seconds to ask your question. And this way we can save as much time for Richard's answers to come back. We want to make sure we get as many people involved as possible. But most of all, let's just have some fun today. Let's make this exciting. Let's get some information that we're looking for. Let's just make District 9 shine like the district it is, because we know here in Eastern Washington, North Idaho, and the northeastern corner of Oregon, we know how to make things happen because we are the little district that could. Without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce Richard Peck. Richard joined Toastmasters nearly 14 years ago for the sole purpose of developing his communication skills. Now, before long, Richard found himself serving in both club and district leadership skills or leadership roles. He is now serving on the international level. Richard is currently a member of the Nutmeg Toastmasters Club in Woodbridge, Connecticut, and also the Park City Toastmasters Club in Stratford, Connecticut. Richard believes that Toastmasters is about making a positive, life-changing impact around the globe, one member at a time. He knows that as individuals, we do not possess the ability to do everything by ourselves, but each of us can do something to make a positive impact on those around us. One of his favorite quotes is from the American author Edward Everett Hale, which simply reads, "I am only one, but still I am one. I cannot do everything, but still I can do something. And because I cannot do everything, I will not refuse to do something that I can do." Now, Richard's a lifelong learner, and outside of Toastmasters, he enjoys traveling and meeting people from around the world, studying world cultures, helping others to achieve more than they possibly believe they could. And he is also a professionally licensed drag car racer. There you go. How about some speed at the top of this organization? We'll love it. Richard's volunteer work includes the Kiwanis International, Lions International, and Catholic War Veterans of America. District 9, please help me welcome with a very warm incoming District 9 welcome for International Toastmasters President-elect Richard Peck.
Let me take myself off mute this time before I begin, so the words of wisdom can actually be heard. Although I'm not going to guarantee a lot of words of wisdom, I want to have a lot of fun tonight. This is a unique opportunity for me to be able to meet with you as members and district leaders in a time that is so unknown to us as to what the next moment will bring, what the next hour will bring. When I was initially going to visit District 9 and was very excited to do that because it would have been my first visit to Washington State ever. And knowing how strong this district is, I was really looking forward to it. And I had spoke with your trio, and they had given me a lot of ideas as to what we were going to do, and everything was normal. And then normal left the building. And we're never going to see that normal again. What the new normal is, we don't know, and we won't know till we get through this. But seeing the unity in our members, seeing the unity in each and every one of you, not only to reaching out to each other, but reaching out to others, shows me that we will get through this, and we will get through this stronger than we were when we went into it. And for me, seeing some of the faces that I haven't seen in a while, like Jim and Darlene, who I've been knowing since I was going through leadership, and they were encouraging me as I was doing it, and seeing their faces on the phone tonight or on the screen tonight. And your RA, Sandra Nunez, who I've known for a number of years as well. It's great to see all of you here. Now, when we set up this town hall, Maria and I sat down and said, let's see what we can do to make this happen. I said, let's just have fun with it. Let's let you as district leaders and members ask the questions that you have on your mind. And I'll do my best to answer them. And I have to say it that way because there are some things that I might not be able to answer, especially if it's board privileged, those type of things. So you'll have to excuse me if there's some items that I can't come out and answer, but those that I can, I will. And I will answer them as honestly as I possibly can. I can't give you the lottery numbers for tomorrow. I apologize. But everything else I will do my best on. So Frank, I'm going to let you lead this off. I know you've given them 25 seconds to ask their questions. If it takes a little longer, that's fine. I'm okay with that. I'll try to keep my answers as succinct as possible as well. So why don't you start us off?
Thank you, Richard, very much for that wonderful introduction of information that you gave us. And yes, we know, I'm sure there are things that we cannot ask or you cannot answer. But still, did I just lose? Somehow or another, my video went off. I don't know what happened here.
Well, we can see you, Frank.
Oh, that's good. As long as you can see me, I guess I can keep myself hidden from the rest of the world. Starting us off today, now when you're ready to ask a question, please introduce yourself, what club you are from, district, because if you are from out of the district, we'd like to know where you're calling in from, but for sure, what club you're from, and your question for Richard. Our first person to ask a question is one of our trio members here in District 9. Please welcome Deborah Kroon. Deborah.
Hey, Deborah.
Hey, Richard, nice to see you. So my question, it probably is a two-part question or two-folded. My question originally was, with the situation that we're under now, is there going to be an ability to do online district leader training in preparation for next year? I am running for district director. If all the dominoes fall into place, I probably will be that person. And so I want to get my team ready and trained up during usually the month of June is when we do that. And now it's looking a little dicey, like we won't be able to meet in person. So what is TI? I assume that could be one of those secret things you're not able to talk about yet, but I'm hoping you will be able to say something.
Yeah, I don't see any issue with online training of some form or another. It's been allowed in limited avenues before for district leaders. I think the situation that we're in right now is going to warrant more of that. So I don't see that as being an issue. I think if you called up world headquarters and talked to training, they're going to tell you the same thing. I don't actually think, if you look in the bylaws and policies, there's anything that outright prohibits it. It's just that it's always been that we want that face-to-face because we think that's the better training. And I use that when I look at some of our concierge level training that, you know, we try to get club officers just need that last club to get the credit for training. So we send an area director to do a 1-hour training session with that club. Not necessarily the same thing because you don't get that same impact as a large group piece. And I just want to make sure if we do the online training that they're getting value out of it. But yeah, in this environment, I would have never thought we were telling all our clubs to meet online, and we are. So I don't think how we could say training would be any different.
Thank you, Richard. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Did you have a second part to your question, Deborah?
Well, it sort of tied in together between district leader training and club officer training. So they kind of tie together. That was the one, 2 for 1.
Yeah, but you still have one more question, Deborah, that you can ask later on of Richard, which I think would be, unless somebody else happens to answer it, I'll let you say that one towards the end of the call if you don't mind. So, Stan Inzer, you're on the line right now with us. Stan, what question do you have for Richard Peck? Please introduce yourself, your club, and what district.
Okay, there we are. I'm unmuted. I'm Stan Inzer. I'm the president of the Moonlighters Club here in Spokane, Washington. And we just received the email here a little bit ago letting us know, because of the coronavirus, that some of the steps that people are trying to get are extended to next year. Would that include our members that are trying to complete like a competent communicator by July or June 30th?
So,
I see you
so the
shaking
competent
your head.
the competent communicator is still in place until June 30th of this year. Yeah, absolutely. If you're asking me, are we extending competent communicator or any of those till next year? No, there's been 5 years notice on the need to complete speeches. So there's no, in my opinion, no value in us extending that. The leadership aspect is the part that individuals were having the most trouble with, was getting those leadership credits. So that was the reason we extended that. But in today's environment, with every club meeting online, you could give 365 speeches at any one point in time with everybody that's allowing you to come on and speak. So no, the speeches, speeches is truly in an individual's control. The credit for leadership is not always in the individual's control, because there's only so many slots that a district has for district leaders. There's only so many clubs that you can assign mentors to, those type of things. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stan. Our next caller on the line that has a question for you, Richard, is Edward Keeney. Ed, you have a question for Richard? Is Ed on the call?
Good afternoon, sir. Ed, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
We can, yep, we can hear you, Ed. You've got a little bit of lag, but we can hear you.
Okay. I'm prison club liaison for High Desert Toastmasters in Umatilla, Oregon. I live in Washington State. Question we have concerns the pathways transition for inmates. Right now, they're obviously a little bit in trouble as far as dues and things like that, unless they get some support. And there has been up and down questions and remarks about using some other funds from Toastmasters to see if they could support some of that. Is any of that going to change, or are we still going to be counted on to try to do something?
I do not have an answer to that situation right at this time. I know that's one of those questions that's been asked numerous times, and I don't have an answer for you. I would hate to steer you in the wrong way, and if there's something being worked on, I'm unaware of it.
Understand.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Ed. That's a great question.
Thank you.
It's so important to us. So it is definitely important that we do that. Alan Donnelly, you're calling in from North Idaho. Alan, what is your question you have for Richard today?
Thank you. Al Donnelly, Talk the Town Toastmasters, Coeur d'Alene. Richard, some clubs may have difficulty this year meeting the qualifying requirement for participating in a distinguished club program. As long as clubs are meeting online, it will be a challenge to achieve 20 members or the net growth of 5 new members, whichever the case, by June 30th. Is there any consideration being given to modifying or eliminating this requirement this year?
Yeah, there are a lot of things that we're looking at organizationally right now, and prioritizing what they are is the biggest thing. So even if we were going to say that, when do we put a stake in the ground to say this was the point that it happened at, this was the point when we start to evaluate everything at? There's two sides to every coin, and I hate to use that cliche, but it's true. If we were to say that we go and stop the Distinguished Club program for whatever that means this year, those clubs that worked really, really hard at it are going to be upset with us, right? Because they've worked hard already to achieve that, and they would feel like they're being penalized. The clubs that are having difficulties, as you're saying, because we're meeting online and don't have that face-to-face interaction. I can't use face-to-face because we technically are face-to-face, but we don't have that co-located in the same room feel. If we kept everything the way it was, they're going to say, well, they were disadvantaged. So I don't know how best to address that situation to make everybody happy, or that we will necessarily make everybody happy with what we're doing. But there are a lot of things that we're trying to figure out, especially as we're coming into the end of this year. and what they're going to come out looking like. We gave the districts the opportunity to decide whether they would have club contests. We made a mandate that said you can't meet face-to-face for your district conferences, or in the same room for your district conferences. We've got a lot of things that we're trying to prioritize and juggle to get out there to you. So all I can tell you is, all I can ask you sincerely is to be patient with us. We're trying to figure out how best to meet the needs of 400,000 individuals and make sure that everyone feels that they're getting a fair share at what's going on. So be patient. The notices that you've gotten today with regards to the extension of the leadership credits, those are things that we've been just really trying to get figured out so we can help everybody achieve something, whatever that means. So just be patient with us. I'm sure we'll get everything answered out in a very timely manner.
Fair enough.
Thank you, Alan.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Richard, for that wonderful answer back as well. We are having, just kind of rolling right along here. Our next caller is Deb Bisoneau. Deb, what is your question for Richard today?
Hi, Richard. I'm in Spokane,
Hi,
Washington,
Deb.
and we're interested in helping other clubs go online. Some clubs have achieved the online transition already, but several clubs used to meet in restaurants and public libraries and things like that, where now they don't necessarily identify that they should meet online. And some people that are members don't have the resources to meet online, but I like this platform that at least you can use telephone if you can't have the online computer. But still, some clubs are investing in Zoom, and so I was wondering, what would you focus on helping a club get online?
That's a very multifaceted question, Deb. Thank you very much. So the first part is getting them online. In order to get them online, you have to figure out why they don't want to be online. Okay, so, and I heard a couple things there. One is maybe they don't have the technology. Not sure 100% what that means, because they can dial in whether they have video or not. Whether they feel that they're on the phone all day long as it is and with work or whatever, and they don't want to be on the call, then that's a personal thing. I don't know that you'd ever get beyond that. The technology aspect of it, this is a pretty easy platform to use. But what I would do is I would find those members in the district from your district trio, can identify those, or you as, it looks like you are a division director, Deb, is that correct? Or are you an area director? Area?
Area director, yeah.
Okay, thank you, because I see the C1 next to your name. So if you have someone in your area who is technologically proficient in this, have them do a seminar. Have them invite people in to try to overcome it. The individuals are trying to do things on their own, and that's when it gets frustrating. But if you have someone who's willing to lead you through it, take you through those steps, it's very easy to get through them. But you can't let them do it on their own. They may be overwhelmed. I think you've got to ask the pertinent questions. You almost want to have a Zoom mentor. And just like you have a speech mentor at your clubs to help individuals with their speeches, but you may want to have somebody that's a Zoom mentor, and they are overwhelmed by everything else that's going on. This is just something else that's on the pile. So trying to alleviate one thing at a time will help them. The other thing is to try to reach out to those individuals. How many of your clubs, you can raise your hands, I can see some of the screens. If members haven't been there in a while, you send them a "gee, we miss you" message, whether it's email or letter or something along those lines. This is the ideal opportunity to do that. Geez, We miss you. We'd like to see your smiling face. We'd like to hear what's going on in your life. Come and join us, and we'll help guide you through it to get you online. And I think people are more receptive if you reach out to them and offer to give them a hand than trying to expect they're going to do it on their own.
Wow, that's a lot of information. That's true. It's interesting because we actually had our first online meeting this last Thursday, Richard, and I was so excited because I've got two ladies in my club they're on pathways, and both of them are like steamrollers heading downhill of a steep mountain. They're just picking up steam, and they're just smashing any obstacle in their way about making the club successful. We ended up having 12 people on our first ever online meeting. We had 12 members show up. We had 2 speeches, 2 evaluators. We did 3 table topics, and we realized we set aside an hour and a half because we're typically a 2-hour meeting. And in that time, we only burned up an hour and 5 minutes. So we realized, hey, we can add 1 or 2 more speeches. We can add more table topics and some stuff. So we're all about getting that growth going. So anything that Toastmasters, in this particular case, can offer us to make this better for us, to help all of our clubs grow that same way would be phenomenal. Is there like a booklet or a pamphlet or some information that Toastmasters has on getting more members on an online meeting?
No, Frank, why don't you send me an email on that separately, and I'll forward it up to World Headquarters to see if they're even working on anything. I don't know if they are, but maybe they are, and we can get that pushed out. If not, why don't we reach out to some clubs that we know and see who's, a subject matter expert on that may be able to put best practices together for your district, so that the trio has it and the incoming trio can have it, just in case we ever had to do this again. I think this becomes an interesting point when we start thinking about hybrid clubs of the future. Now we're seeing it's not so difficult to be able to have an online presence with us, but being able to migrate that into a true brick and mortar style club, if you want, and having the online presence, I think will be the interesting piece there and how that works out. So, good idea, though.
We talked about doing a hybrid meeting because the area that we were meeting would, since Toastmasters said we could have up to 10 members, show up, and we were thinking, well, if we have 10 of our members show up at the area, the building, and then have everybody else go online. And my biggest fear was, well, if we all of a sudden went outside and says, I'm sorry, we've reached our 10 maximum, we're going to turn somebody off.
Yeah.
So the decision was made to 100% go to online. And then, of course, the next morning, I get the email from the location where we meet, and they said, we are not allowing you in at this time because of the coronavirus, yada, yada, yada. It's like, well, hey, we were planning on doing online anyway, so it worked out for us in the long run.
I was talking to Past International President Storkey last night, and we were talking about this example of the technology, and he was impressed that clubs seem to be taking it up so quickly and being able to get online and being active. And I related it to trying to learn a second language. When you're in school, you go through the steps of learning it. Maybe you practice it, maybe you don't. But if you truly want to learn the language, you get immersed in it. If you were learning Spanish and they dropped you in Spain and that was the only language there to speak, you're going to learn it. The same thing with French in France. This is the only avenue we have right now. And people are starting to really step up and shine through the use of Zoom or whatever other platform they have.
Well, perfect. Thank you very much. Maria, our District 9 Director, Maria, would like to add something here or a chance to speak. Maria, you're on.
Thank you. One challenge our district had was for members to visit other clubs. This is an absolutely wonderful opportunity for each of us to visit some other virtual club. Our webmaster, Darlene Marquard, is online right now, and she is gathering information. She's asking each club to send her your Zoom link and the time, and she can put it on our webpage when different clubs are meeting and how to log on to it. Also on our line is our regional advisor, Sonia Nunez, and she has indicated on here that she has some best practice sheets from other districts. we can post that on our webpage, which is www.tmd9.org, and also our Facebook page. We have other members like Victoria Chatterton and Stan Enzer, who are offering, they're working on their pathways, and I think in level 3 and 4, you can actually do virtual trainings and virtual webinars for credit. So keep a lookout for our district webpage and our Facebook for opportunities where members can share ideas.
Excellent. Thank you, Maria. And I also see past region advisor Jesse Oakley is on the line. So nice to see Jesse.
Well, actually, this is even better, Richard. We have Carol, district director, or I'm sorry, she's program quality director from District 96 is on the line, and she has a question to ask you.
Of course.
As if we can get her to be unshy here now.
I'm unmuted now. My question has to do with the ALS. There's so many different versions of what's accepted and what's not accepted, or what's extended and what's not extended. I have 2 members that were using the district annual conference as their HPL to complete their HPL, and that is the last piece they need for their DTM. Now, of course, we're not holding our annual district conference, and so now they're stuck. So apparently the ALS has been extended to June 2021, but I heard that the HPL does not count to be extended.
I would recommend that you call World Headquarters on that, Carol, because that's the first time I'm hearing about an HPL situation for this. So I would say call World Headquarters, get their advice on that. Again, this is, so this is when I was going back to, go ahead, I'm sorry, Carol.
Oh, sorry. Oh, I just wanted to also add, if anybody wants to look at district96.ca, on the banner, when you first go online, it will show you all the Zoom meetings that we've, all the clubs that are meeting on Zoom, just to get an idea of how to put it on your district website. Okay.
Thank you, Carol. And Stan, I was going to reference back to the question you asked. This is one of those things where we wouldn't know, until you hear about it, it's hard to address the situation. So hearing that someone's being held up on an HPL towards their DTM, something that's clearly out of the blue to see. So being able to figure out how to best balance those things. So Carol, please call World Headquarters tomorrow and see if they can offer you some guidance on that.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Carol, for the question you have. Just a reminder, everybody, you can message me privately if you'd like to speak, or you can raise your hand if you have. I'll see that notification. I am trying to respond to notices that are popping up on chat to me, so please be patient. I will get to you. I just don't want to be too rude while I'm asking questions or listening to certain people. So I am trying to multitask here, which is kind of fun, actually. I'm looking just having a good time with this. Another person that's on the line with us today is Chris T. from District 9. Chris, he has a question for you, Richard. Chris, it's your turn to speak.
Hello, Chris Thacker.
Hi, Chris.
Belong to 2 clubs, and you can, if you're an officer, you can go online and pay your dues, which gives you 7 members. And in order to get the 8th, you have to have a non-officer submit their dues. Can they go online and pay their dues, or is it the old credit card and check method from them?
As far as I know, it's the credit card and check method, but call District Finance and let them give you some good advice on how to handle that. I don't want to steer you in the wrong direction, especially when it comes to dues. So I would recommend calling World Headquarters for that to get clarification.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Wayne Engel, you're out there somewhere in the Tri-Cities. It's your turn to ask Richard a question. Take it away. Is Wayne not on the call? I thought Wayne was on. Maria, is Wayne on the call today?
No, I do not see him online.
Okay, then I will ask his question for him then. Richard, this is from Wayne Engel. Wayne is from one of our clubs in the Tri-Cities, Walla Walla area, if I'm correct. His question is, his home club is meeting for the third time online Monday night. Now, it's been different, but it's been good for them. The TMs to learn new stuff. How are other districts and regions faring as far as this online meeting going? And what can we do to possibly match or exceed what they are doing?
So the challenge is thrown out there, huh? A little gauntlet challenge here to try to meet and exceed. That's a great question. And I will tell you that from what I have seen, the districts and clubs are really doing very well at adapting to this. I think in my kitchen the other day, we had 4 meetings going, one right after the other, for clubs that were starting to learn how to get on Zoom and understand the intricacies of it. And I saw a question here just out of the corner of my eye on the chat room about timing backgrounds and being able to use timing backgrounds and those things that are important. I've seen people hold up cards, and unfortunately, if they've written red, yellow, green on it, and they have, there you go, and they have the mirror aspect on, those letters are backwards or the words are backwards. So knowing to get in there and change your mirroring effect on there. I don't see this as any one district doing better than the other. I think every district is doing a great job and every club is doing a great job to get to where they are. The ability to come together district-wide is the big thing, I think, because not a lot of districts are familiar or comfortable with a way to bring a lot of people together. You have brought, according to your participant list, 54 individuals together tonight for this 1-hour town hall session. I've seen districts in China that have brought 500 people together on a call, but they open it up to multiple districts and they open it up to multiple countries at any one time. So some districts are doing large reach out pieces. When Maria and I talked about this town hall tonight, this became the first one that I'm doing. And now all of a sudden there's several that have dovetailed into this that have heard you're doing it and now want me to do a town hall meeting with them. And I think this allows them to reach out to a greater group of people. So on Wednesday, I've got a call with Saudi Arabia, and then sometime next weekend, I think, is Australia. So districts now are finding new ways to reach out to other districts. And I think that is my challenge to you, is to reach out to other districts and see how you can build that peer group together. Because whether you're a district leader, from the trio to the area, you have a peer group that is going through the exact same thing right now that you're going through. And if you can figure out how to reach out to them and work with them, this would be a great opportunity. In Kiwanis, we have sister clubs in other parts of the world. So my club here in Connecticut has a club over in Asia. There's no reason you can't do that with a district. Have a sister district that you work with, or have your clubs have sister clubs that they work with to get through this and build that sense of community. Tracy Thomason, past international director, always said it's about the sense of community that we have. And we have never been at a time in our lives where we've had to be so far apart, yet had the opportunity to be so close together, just by reaching out through the internet to do that. So I think those are some things that we can do just to make this a true global initiative.
Well, since Toastmasters is encouraging us, Richard, to do this, to reach out via the internet and to start doing more of these meetings, is there going to be a chance that TI International will actually introduce some sort of link on the main home site that will actually help districts and clubs possibly do what you're talking about, link together for these glorious meetings? I had a thought one time about having what I called a super meeting where 4 clubs would come together for 2 hours, each club representing 2 speakers, 2 evaluators, and of course the table topics individuals, and everybody would share in the duties as a whole large thing for a community service type event where we can get out in the community and show really what Toastmasters can do. So with that in mind, would TI International, be willing to do that on the site to say, hey, listen, this is how you guys can connect, and we'll help give you the tools to do just that.
Yeah, so I think there's 2 questions there. And the first is, one is the ability to reach out to the other districts and meet with them, understand who their leaders are, that aspect of it. The second part to that question is, would we provide the tools to do that? So the first one I can answer you. If you go to TI right now, there's links to every district website that's active out there. So you could find the district leaders around the world, provided they've updated their links properly and updated their officer lists. As far as the tools go, that's a different animal completely. And I don't think we're there at this point in time. I think we are trying to take the baby steps and work our way through this current issue. And I say that because this will end at some point in time. And it's important for us to address the situation, the things that we can handle now, than to try to make big swipes at things that, even if we could do it, being able to do it well may take us longer than this whole period of time that we need it for. So I would encourage you to reach out to the district websites and the district leaders that way first. And then if something happens from a technology standpoint later on, we'll let that fall where it may.
Well, perfect. Thank you very much. Now, we still have many more questions to ask here, plus our time is now kind of coming down. We are 19 minutes away from completing this call, so I'm going to move on to our next caller, which is Nancy Shadow. She was a former district director here in District 9. Nancy, you're on the line with Richard Peck.
Thanks, Frank. Richard, I am also a prison liaison like Ed, and I see a few others here on this call as well. From our prison clubs right now, we're not able to meet online. And since as volunteers, we're not allowed in the institutions. So that means that we have charter prison clubs that are unable to meet at all. And at this point, I was wondering if there were going to be any extensions for speeches, both traditional and pathways, for that June 30th deadline for that group.
Yeah, so I'll give you the answer I gave before. There's no extensions on the current legacy speech program, as far as I know, and for the letter that we have. The prison clubs, they're a unique entity, and we know that, but I hate to use it this way and say it this way, but Pathways we knew 5 years ago was coming, and it's here. And that is the nature of the beast. There's those pockets like you have, Nancy, and Ed have, where you're prison liaisons and several of the others that you mentioned. And it's a difficult situation for you, probably more difficult than the rest of us in that aspect, and trying to figure out how to address that. I can only tell you from what information has been provided to you right now in the letter that you recently received, that the Pathways program comes into effect on June 30th. And that is that. Clubs who wish to use the old legacy style program are going to have to be gavel clubs at that point. So I know that's not the answer you want. I could see it in your face. I could see it in the head nod. So I know that's not the answer you want, but I have to be as honest with you as I possibly can be.
Well, thank you, Nancy. That was a great question. Richard, thank you once again for your response. We're going to go back to Deborah Crone. She has got a couple more questions for you, Richard. Follow up from earlier times on the line. Deborah, it's back to you.
Thank you, Frank and Richard. Two questions, or two divergent questions. One is, and I suspect I already know your answer, but prison clubs, the proxy issue with the online virtual meeting coming up. I'm not sure I understand why at a regular council meeting in person, you can carry a proxy, but you can't carry a proxy to a virtual meeting. And then for our prison clubs, they don't get the option of going online to cast their ballot. So I'm just putting a plug in there. Could there please be some dialogue about that at your board meeting?
About virtual proxies.
And especially for prison clubs, because usually, I know one prison, we have 5 clubs in one prison. It's the same liaison for each of those 5 clubs. So they only get to carry one, no matter what. That's the
Deborah,
one.
would you send me an email on that later, please?
I will. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. The other question is, ooh la la, ooh Paris, what's going on?
I'm surprised it took as long to get to that question tonight as it did. I knew prison clubs was going to be a hot topic because I know District 9. But I'm surprised it took as long to get to France as we did. So let me tell you what I know. The convention is still on. That is what I know at this point. We are constantly monitoring the situation in France, just like everyone else is. France has not declared anything at that point in time on the calendar as off limits. So, there is contractual obligations as there are with every conference we do and everything else. So at this point in time, it is still on. I have an emotional attachment to France in the fact that it would be an inauguration for me as the president-elect. And for those of you who have ever been to the presidential dinner dance, taking bets as to whether I can dance or not, I would like you to either win your money or lose it. So I have a personal emotional attachment, if you will, to that, but that is not the leader for the decision making. We have to figure out what's best for our members and best for the organization at the same time. So that is constantly being monitored. Trust me, I have the government website up on my screen every day, looking to see what's going on there. As far as I know, no conventions that far out have been canceled yet in that region. I know some that were in the June timeframe have been canceled, but nothing out as far as August. So, as soon as we know, I know you will know.
So does this
but
also
don't.
mean
For those of you who are on Facebook, there are people out there on Facebook that are saying the convention is canceled. I don't know where they're getting their information, but I'm about the 3rd person down from the CEO, and I'm not getting that information. So I don't know where they're getting it from. So if it's on social media, ignore it at this point in time.
So does this mean that you and Betty Ann are practicing a dance routine to surpass Deepak's from last year?
There would be nothing that would be able to surpass Deepak's dance from last year. He had a family help coordinate that. I do not.
All right.
So,
All right. Thank
but
you.
Deborah, if I have to recruit you, I'll let you know.
Oh, there you go. All right.
Hopefully I missed something about Happy Feet here, but I won't go there. So. All right. Well, Samantha McDonald from our Moses Lake Club, she just had a comment she would like to add in here real quick, Richard, possibly a question. I'm going to turn it over to her before we start wrapping things up here because we are now 12 minutes away from ending the call. So Samantha, it's your turn.
So Frank, before Samantha asks, do you still have questions on your sheet? Because I'm willing to stay on a few more minutes if necessary. So I want to give your district all the time that it wants within reason.
So far, everybody has asked questions that needed to ask questions that wanted to ask questions. So yeah,
very good.
Popped up my chat. I got all the sheets that have been done here. Deborah finished answering her last. Unless something pops up or I have another question, we're going to be wrapping this thing up here in the next 10, 11, 12 minutes. So yeah.
All right. So, very good.
Go ahead and take it away for Richard, please.
Hi, Richard.
Hi, Samantha. How are you?
It's very nice to meet you. I have a comment. Can you hear me? Well,
it's
okay,
a
wonderful.
little bit of a lag.
I'm doing well. This is amazing that we are all on, uh-oh. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes,
Hello?
go ahead.
Oh,
Go
okay.
ahead, Samantha.
Sorry about that. I'm trying to be quick about it. I'm just happy that everyone is here and that we are switching to Zoom and technology because, did you get that?
I did.
Hello?
Yep. You're happy that we're
Anyways,
switching to Zoom
I'm really
and
happy
technology.
that this is happening because people who have a disability and cannot and it's just really amazing because some people can't drive, such as myself, and so it gives us an opportunity to meet all these incredible people and to actually learn from you and others who are in leadership, and we can learn from that. So that's really, really awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Samantha. It's my pleasure.
All right, well, thank you. Now, Stan Inzer was one of our first people to ask the question at Richard. Stan actually has a comment, something to follow up as well. Stan, what was your comment you'd like to follow up with?
Stan, you're on mute.
Stan, you have to unmute yourself.
There we go.
There you go.
I just wanted to throw something out here for District 9 and anybody that's on here. I'm getting ready to have published in our newsletter here that I am willing and I'm going to be setting up a weekly training on Zoom in Pathways. At our last officers training, I did a presentation on Pathways, and one of the first questions I asked was how many clubs were 100% in Pathways. We had one club in the building that was 100%. So the question came up, or somebody was asked if I would be available to give some training. So I'm going to set up a weekly training, and if you, all of you out there, would get to your club members and get them to get downloaded with Zoom, there will be a link in the newsletter that on a weekly basis, I don't know which day of the week yet, they can get in, and we will have about a 30 to 40-minute training session each week. And all of those that aren't in District 9 that hears this, if you get onto our newsletter, you probably could get in and get the same training. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you, Stan.
Dan, I want to follow up with that one real quick. If you get a chance, contact a club member of mine. She's in my club. She's our Vice President of Education, Elaine Kelly. She has been doing Pathways training for other members of other clubs at the same meeting place as our club twice a month for the last 4 months, and she is now starting to go to the Zoom online training as well. So you may want to talk with her and see if the two of you can work hand in hand on taking this from just the northern part of Idaho to expand it out into Division C as well, and see what will happen, because she is top notch in Pathways. And I think that with your concept and her already on the ground running with this, we can make something huge happen here in the upper part.
What was her name again?
Elaine Kelly.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. All right, as we get towards the end of this call here, Richard, do you have any final statements or final things that you'd like to share before we close everything down?
Well, thank you, Frank, and thank you, District 9, for inviting me to this and making me feel so welcome. I felt that these were some really good, well thought out questions, and knowing that there was some passion behind some of them means a lot to me. I wish I could give you better answers to some of those questions that you have. But unfortunately, I can only give you the information that I have at this time. And I know that each and every one of us has a project that we're extremely passionate about. And we put that in the forefront of the things we do. And sometimes when the answer isn't what we want it to be, it can be a little bit difficult. And I can appreciate that. Nancy, I can appreciate the fact that I could see your smile and then the change a little bit with the answer, but I understand where you're coming from and I can appreciate that. And I think that's one of the niceties about being online with individuals and seeing that face-to-face piece. I was never one who was big on having the video camera on. I've had to learn how to get rid of that bright, shiny thing above my head where my hair used to be when I have a light above me. But being on it allows me to connect in a better way with individuals, a more close way where I can see expressions, just like we do when we're in a club environment, where we can see the body language and the facial expressions and what that means. So for me, this was a great opportunity to share with all of you what's going on based on the questions you have and what I could answer. I asked you earlier to be patient with us because we're trying to manage this from a global perspective. But I ask you all to be patient with each other. This is a new environment for each and every one of you to be able to best figure out how to manage meetings, to come together, to have that same feeling that you would have if you were sitting next to each other in the club environment. There's going to be times when technology is not going to work right. There's going to be time when there's going to be lag and video issues, and people be distracted. I've been on calls where the next thing you know, there's a cat walking across the sofa behind somebody, and there's going to be those distracting things. But we're in a different environment right now, and oh, that was nice, Diane. Was that your husband? Very nice. So there are those things. You're going to see a different side of people, a different environment that you wouldn't have seen. And you just have to take it with the open-mindedness that I know each and every one of you have. There's a little bit of vulnerability when we do this. So you have to take that into account as well. You're seeing into someone's life now. You're seeing into their home, their family, what's going on. So there's a vulnerability for those individuals who are online as well. And being cognizant of that and being patient from that standpoint is important. We're all trying to work through this together. There's not a one of us who is come into this knowing everything and has it all figured out. I'm trying to get the virtual backgrounds. The other night, my backgrounds were all backwards. The Toastmasters logo was on the wrong side, and it wasn't until I went in and figured out where that was coming from and how to adjust that. So we're learning this together, and I think as we share what we learn, it's better off. I wish we had an evaluation piece for this or a feedback loop where we could say, okay, these are the things that we've experienced and what have you done to overcome them? What would you recommend there? And when we come out of this, we're going to be better individuals for it. We're going to have more knowledge. We're going to be stronger. We're going to be a stronger community of members and of individuals. This is a situation that is bringing us all together for a common good. And I think that's what we need to take out of this, regardless of the situation. And I know each and every one of us is impacted by it in one way or another. And we had a family member or not a family member, a family friend who had passed away because of the coronavirus. So we're all dealing with something from an impact from this thing. And it's these situations here that allow us to be closer and step away from what is now the new normal. So this is something that I think every one of us needs and is appreciated for everybody. And I'm available. If someone has a club meeting they want me to pop my head in on for 5 or 10 minutes, I might be able to do that. You just have to send me an invite, and if I can schedule it on my calendar, I'll do my best to do that, even if it's just to say hi and encourage everybody. this is an opportunity for me to reach out to members that I might not have been able to reach out to as well. So I know that's a risky thing. I said that on a PQD call for Region 12 the other night, and got more emails after that call than I thought I was ever going to get. I didn't think that many people knew my name, but I did. And it's my offer is to help you in whatever way possible, within reason and within my power. So Frank, thank you. You were a great moderator tonight. This is a unique opportunity for me to have a moderator lead me through this. I know when I speak to Saudi Arabia on Wednesday, they're actually going to have an interpreter. So this is going to be even more interesting, is how I do a town hall with an interpreter who's going to be interpreting into Arabic, either from the question perspective or the answer perspective. So that's the technology side. We're going to see how we move that out. So.
Well, best of luck on that one, Richard. And before I turn this over to the final statement from our District Director, Maria McDonald, I have one closing little I'd like to thank you personally as well. It's been a pleasure talking with you on the phone this last week, getting to know you over the phone, and spending that time, and of course today on this moderation call and this town hall meeting. It's been a lot of fun sharing the screen time with you as well. And with everything that we're going through right now with Toastmasters International and what's happening in the world, there's a quote that I came up with for my wife when she was struggling a few years back. And that is that we do not need to see our destination to know that it's there. All we need to have is the faith to follow the path that will lead us there. With that, I wish everybody in District 9, Toastmasters from around the world, and especially Toastmasters leadership, that Godspeed, that things will happen that need to happen when they need to happen, and that we will make things happen because we are an organization of people that get things done. With that, I thank you once again, Richard, for your time today, and I'm turning this over to Maria McDonald McNamara for some final comments. Thank you very much, and take it away, Maria. You have to unmute, Maria.
Okay, sorry. I hope everyone can see my screen. First of all, we want to thank District 9, thanks so much, International President-elect Richard Peck, and our fabulous moderator, Frank Briggs. Can we give them a standing applause? We just truly appreciate you. And just for everyone else, we have some upcoming events. We are going to, on April, it says April 16th, correction, that is April 18th. Not the 16th. We'll have a candidate showcase. Gary Green, who is on the line right now, is one of our co-chairs of that. Also on April 18th, not the 16th, I'm sorry, we're going to have our district council meeting at 2 p.m. We need our presidents and vice presidents, and as well as our deck, to attend this. We'll be voting on the alignment, district officers, and our reports. One slightly thought is that I'm proud of everybody. We are here for you. Although we might have a few cracks going on right now, that does not mean that we're broken. It just means that we've been put to the test and we did not fall apart. Also in District 9, we just did our very first town hall meeting. We're excited. Richard, you're equipped for whatever's coming up, because this is a district where we make things happen, and we're very appreciative of you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Maria. It's been a pleasure, and you're right, you do make things happen. I like that quote. It reminds me of the Liberty Bell, because the Liberty Bell did crack when it was rang, but it still continued to ring on, and it was the spirit of liberty ever since. So yes, one small crack does not, it adds character to some things, and it does show that you've been put through the test. So I do appreciate that. Great quote. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, he said he would stay on for a few more minutes. So if everyone else can log off, or if you want to stay on, or any questions, you can unmute yourselves, I guess. And
have we stopped the recording?
Oh, okay. I will stop the recording.